Now in this video I'd like to cover a configuration that might be used on the target router that could make cracking it a little bit different. Now, as we know, WEP is very rare to see now anyway, and this configuration is actually really rare, and most routers don't even support it. It is a bit different to crack it though, and usually people get confused when they see it and won't even know what to do. But it's actually kinda easier to crack this type of configuration than the normal WEP configuration. What I want to talk about is if the target router does not use open authentication. So we've seen in all the previous videos, the first step was to do a fake authentication attack which changed the auth in AeroDumpNG to open. In this case, the router can be configured to use a shared key authentication. So I have my router settings page here, and you can see that I changed the setting here to required. And what this basically does is it prevents anybody from even associating with the router if they don't know the key. So usually routers use open authentication, which basically means anybody can associate with the router, and then the router will check if you have the right password, if you have the right key. If you do, they let you connect. If you don't, they won't let you to connect. So they actually allow you to associate and they'll communicate with you. If a shared key is used, then the router will not even allow you to associate unless you encrypt a challenge for it and send it to it. You won't even be able to associate with the router if you don't have this shared key. Let me show you an example here. So I'm just going to do first of all AeroDumpNG mon0 to see all the networks around us. And you can see that I have this network which I configured for this class, and it's called SKA test AP. So it's running on channel 1, and I'm going to copy its MAC address. And we're going to run AeroDumpNG against this network only. We're going to give the BSS ID, the channel, and we're going to store the data to a file, and we'll call the file SKA test. And then I'm going to put my wireless card in monitor mode, which is mon0. So it's the same command that we've always been doing, AeroDumpNG, the BSS ID of the target, the channel, and we're writing a file. We're going to hit enter, and this is going to run against our target only. And now I'm just going to come in and do a fake authentication just to show you what happens in SKA networks. So we're going to do a fake authentication exactly like we did it before. So it's going to be AirPlayNG, fake auth, and we're going to put 0. And then we're going to do -A, put the MAC address of the router, and then I'm going to do -H and put my own MAC address, which is... Now I'm doing all this real quick because you should know all of this by now because we covered it in previous lectures. And my own MAC address is 00C0CA828298. Then we're going to put our wireless card in monitor mode, which is mon0. So again, same command that we always use for the fake authentication. We're going to do AirPlayNG, fake auth, 0, target MAC address, my MAC address. I'm going to hit enter. So I'm going to Control-C this. So you can see that we have SKA here under the auth instead of open. And that means we can't really do all the attacks that we did previously, the 3 methods, the 3 injection methods that we spoke about previously. The way to fake authenticate yourself with SKA networks is you'll have to de-authenticate one of the connected clients in here. So you have to have a client connected to the network. You're going to have to de-authenticate it. Once you do that, AeroDumpNG will capture an SKA. You can see that I have a broken SKA here. But if you do that properly, you will get a normal SKA, and then you'll use that file with the -Y option to fake authenticate yourself to associate with the network, and then you can do all the attacks that we spoke about in the previous lectures, the 3 methods. The thing is, that's a bit too complicated, and there is 2 better methods to do that, because as I said, if you want to associate and the target network uses SKA, the network has to have a connected client, has to have at least one connected client. So based on that fact, there's actually better ways to crack that network. And I'm going to show you the first method right now. and that is using an ARP replay attack. So let me close this first. And I'm gonna clear this. And I'm actually gonna stop this and clear it and run the attack again, because I want to show you that you actually don't even need to run a fake authentication for this. So we're just gonna name this something else. We're gonna call it SKA test 2, and we're gonna launch AeroDump-ng. And as you can see right here, I don't have authentication or anything on this network right now. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do an ARP replay attack. So we spoke about that, and we actually did it in a previous lecture. The only difference is when we did it, we did a fake authentication and we associated with the network. And then we used the replay attack based on our MAC address. So we replayed packets from our computer and injected them in the router. In this lecture, because we actually have a client, when we did it in previous lectures, there was no clients connected, so we had to associate. Our client showed up in here, and then we used our client MAC address to replay one of the ARP packets, and we managed to increase the number of data rapidly that way. What we're going to do today is, because we already have a connected client, we're going to use this connected client in our replay attack. And this method will work against both normal networks and against the web networks that use SKA. So this attack is going to be exactly the same as the ARP replay attack that we did. The only difference is we're going to use the MAC address of a connected client instead of my own MAC address. So the command is going to be areplay-ng, ARP replay. Then we're going to do -b, and we're going to give it the MAC address of the target network. Then we're going to do -h. And instead of giving it my own MAC address like we did in previous videos, I'm going to use the MAC address of one of the connected clients, which is this one. Then I'm going to put my wireless card in monitor mode, which is mon0, and we're ready to go. So again, we're using areplay-ng. We're doing an ARP replay attack exactly like we did before. We're specifying the target network after the -b. And then we're specifying the MAC address of a connected client this time, instead of specifying my own MAC address. So I'm going to hit enter. And what this is going to do is it's going to wait for an appropriate ARP packet. And once it captures one of them, it's going to inject it in the traffic. But when it's going to do that, it's actually relying on this connected client, and it's injecting it as if this packet is coming from this connected client. And as you can see, the number of data is increasing very, very fast right now. And I can just run aircrack-ng on the side, and I should be able to crack the password. So again, I'm going to run this like we did before. And we named the file SKA test, and we named it 2. And we have to append the -01 because AeroDump-ng does that automatically. And that's going to be a .cap. We're going to hit enter. Now I'm going to stop this. And as you can see, we managed to get the key. Now we can use this. We just remove these dots from it and connect to the target network, and we'll be able to connect to it. So again, this method works on both normal web networks and the ones that use shared key authentication, or SKA. The only thing that it requires is an existing connected client to the network. So it's not a clientless cracking method.